Mysteries abound around the world, from strange lights in the night sky to ghostly apparitions passing from one realm to the next. From the Great Pyramids of Egypt to what lies beneath the depths of Loch Ness. From Bigfoot to Atlantis, they are all mysteries waiting to be solved. Join Laurie Phillips, Lauren Smith, Graz, and Billy Simmons as they search for the truth on Nite Callers Radio.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Nite Callers Bigfoot Radio. It is February 25th, 2016, and we were here with the whole crew, including little Xander. I hear him in the background. How's that baby doing tonight, Miss Lauren?
He's not happy to be here, apparently. He is not having it. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. Anyway, how are y'all doing?
We're doing pretty good, I think. I think we're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Beautiful
day. Yeah.
It is beautiful weather right now. Absolutely gorgeous weather here.
Oh, not here. It's cold again. It was 70s last week. Oh, it was so nice. And back to cold, back to winter.
Oh,
Mother Nature's bipolar.
She is.
I'm telling you.
She's menopausal. I'm telling you.
That is. Yeah.
Getting her hot flashes.
But then me in the rainforest, I have pretty blue skies and 60 degrees today, all day long.
No cranky baby.
Blue skies have ever seen. Don't pass that around. We don't need any more imports. Y'all stay where you are.
What do you pass around, Graz? That's not legal here. Right?
No. It's legal here, so there.
Yeah, we know.
Well, we're very excited tonight because we're bringing Tracy Arnold back. You know, Tracy has to go to work like straight up 10 o'clock Eastern time, so we had to do his show in like 2 segments because he had still a lot to share, but couldn't get it all until the first hour. And we were working on trying to get his recordings on, and I don't think we made it. I couldn't figure out how to download them from Facebook. And so, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to have any recordings tonight with Stacy unless he somehow managed to get them converted. So, if you don't mind, Graz, if no one has any news to tell, Graz, do you mind running that intro real quick, and then we're going to go ahead and get Tracy on. Maybe he's made it to his work by now.
Yeah, that's all right. It'll work out one way or the other. He's got an okay signal. Tracy Arnold, Part 2. Tracy brings you the part show. In the first hour, we'll be speaking to Tracy Arnold from Virginia. We are working with Tracy as we write this, hoping to transfer his recordings for our listeners, and you already said that. Tracy Arnold's been a researcher for 5 years. I'm just reading here. As he looked into the reports locally and found the proof that they are here, he created a group called the New River Valley Bigfoot Organization 2 years ago. This past August, Tracy had his first sighting in daylight, and it wasn't what he was expecting. He is now honored to have a great group of guys that are on the same level as he, a group that is focused on bringing the truth out and finding the right way of finding evidence without killing them. They're here in Virginia, and Tracy is proud of what he has found to be real. And thank you very much. You didn't let me say thank you very much. I wouldn't have done it, was I?
Thank you very much, Brad. If we got any more professional, we might make big time, but I just don't see that happening.
Well, like I said, we're just sitting here around the campfire. We don't have a bunch of glitch and a bunch of people pointing at each other. Okay, your turn, that turn, that turn. We're just winging it. Okay, take over.
Oh, I get remarks. Y'all need to do something about your audio and all of this. And they've got to consider we're all working people. We have no big-time equipment. We don't have time to edit our stuff.
It's just a hobby.
It is, and we enjoy doing it, and we enjoy sharing it with other people, and we've got a lot of listeners. And so apparently we're not doing everything wrong. So,
and we're here we just want the information. We want to hear from the researchers out there, get the info of what they're doing, what's going on. I mean, that's why we're here, to give them a voice, and we love our listeners too. We're sharing.
We're just
sharing and caring.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Tracy's going, what the have I called into? You there, Tracy?
Welcome back to Nite Callers, Tracy.
Thank y'all very much. It's a pleasure to be back. Just rolled in and put the Murphy brake on. So I sat here and let it run a little bit, keep me warm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had no phone service at where I live at, but I know. Come work about an hour, come work about 55 minutes early and just sit in the parking lot and talk to you guys.
Well, we appreciate you giving us your time. Really. Thank you so much. You were on like a couple of weeks ago, I think. I'm trying to think about. I know it was this month. I think it was the first of this month that you were on, and you told us about your experience in August. Right. And what would you like to talk about today? Is there anything in particular, or would you like us to ask you a question?
Well, y'all can ask me all the questions you want.
Okay.
Just last night, Daniel Benoit of the ECBR had a podcast with Rick Dyer and Rector Rio on there.
Oh my gosh!
I've got a couple of things to say about that. I don't know why he put himself in that position.
I can't believe you would have. Why?
To get to the bottom of why the reason why they hoax, why Rick hoaxed, and why he's destroying, Bigfoot research, and then he turns the show into, kind of like if you've got a camera in your hand and you're in the woods, all that is entertainment for everybody. I mean, that's what Rick Dyer said, and they're buddies now. Rick and Rector. I don't know why, but just didn't make no sense. It kindly blew everybody's research plumb out of the water. I mean, seriously, it makes us all look bad when a hoaxer comes in and says, "Okay, the footprints they're not real. Witnesses are trying to make a name for themselves." All this, he went as far as downgrading Jeff Meldrum and other guy, even Survivor Man. But this guy is getting paid for nothing, just to make fake suits up and all this stuff, and trying to make a name for himself has been a star in the Bigfoot community. But to me, he's not a star. He's just somebody tearing everything apart that everybody else is working for.
Exactly, and I think that's his entire purpose.
Yeah,
it's
he
to
said that.
Discredit true researchers and just to make a mockery of the entire study of Bigfoot.
If you go back in history, Rick Dyer actually got caught first hoaxing, and he got down by the whole community. Everybody, left his Facebook, weren't his friends no more. He was a real researcher at one time, and then he got caught hoaxing something that I don't think is right, because if it's not in front of you and you didn't do it, it should be research. But if you do something and then you go and say, "Okay, this is what I found. This is it right here," and then you get caught hoaxing, that just tires you up, and it tires the whole Bigfoot community up.
Well, honestly, can I interject for just a second?
Yes, ma'am.
In the real Bigfoot community, you know, there's the community out there that knows about the Bigfoot community. But the real Bigfoot community, the real researchers that are out there, once you've ever been caught hoaxing, you're done. You're washed up. No one will ever take you seriously again. And I cannot believe this guy's even still around. Somebody must be giving him fuel to the fire. Because I know as a person, you and I and Graz and Billy and all of us are part of the research community. We don't give that man credit, and I wouldn't give him the airtime. I just cannot understand that. I just don't understand it.
That's what he thrives on, is being in the Bigfoot community still, even though he's known as a hoaxer. He even came out and said it was a hoax, you know, different things he's come out with. And then he said he's got a Bigfoot body in the University of Florida. But at the same time, I haven't seen nothing else come from the man. If he is such a Bigfoot tracker, Bigfoot hunter, it looks like he would have more evidence than having a fake body or anything.
Well, you know, he could come up with a real body and no one would believe him because he's lost all credibility.
Yeah.
Rick Dyer, if you're listening to this show, you've lost all credibility, buddy. And nobody is listening to you. Nobody. And if they go on there
what were you saying? What were you saying? It was Richter involved with this?
Yes, he was involved last night too. And you know, I had a lot of respect for Richter, but he himself even said he was friends with Rick Dyer, but he would go out in the woods with Rick Dyer and do real research. But he also, you know, this is a guy that has, you know, a great video in Ohio with Bob Gidlin on the Patterson Gidlin footage and the encounter that day that he had. I watched it probably 10 times. You know, just because I love watching Bob Gidlin talk and how he shows his emotion while he's talking about what they saw and why they were there. And, you know, just his accent and everything, it kind of brings back to home to me, you know. But, you know, even after he done that video, Richter himself even said, it's all for show.
Mm-hmm. He is a show.
It's all for entertainment.
I've watched Richter's videos several times and stuff, and he's interesting. And he has a little comedy. Sometimes it's just a little over the top, whatever. I don't bother with it too much.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't take him all that serious.
Mark Zasky was on last week, and he did make mention that on his videos, when they tried to be informative, people would quit watching them. They were there strictly for entertainment value. They want to get straight to the Bigfoot pictures and the Bigfoot footage. And I think that's a lot of the community out there. Well, I don't want to say not the researchers. Not the researchers. Community as a whole is not all research. A lot of it's just enthusiasts, and they're just interested in the gold. They're not interested in the gold digging. Yeah. They're not interested in the gold digging. Me, I'm interested in the gold digging. I want to know how people get out there and do it in their different ways, because I guess that's what I do too, and that's what other people that listen to the show are very interested in, learning how to be a Bigfoot researcher. And and everything we know, and I've said this plenty of times, everything we know about Bigfoot, we learned from Bigfoot researchers. We didn't learn them from people who were just enthusiasts. We didn't learn it from scientists. We learned it from the Bigfoot researcher. And they're very, very important. And people like Rick Dyer, I just need to shut up because he just makes me so mad. He does. I mean, he disappears. It's like, why is the man still around? Come on.
Well,
you know, Tom
Biscardi. I can tell you why he's still around.
He ruined Tom Biscardi. Tom Biscardi was already treading on thin ice anyway, but he totally ruined Tom Biscardi. And I don't even know, Tom Biscardi's like a has-been now, I think. I haven't heard anything about him in years. So, you know,
so if you want to see a redheaded temper, just talk about Rick Dyer in front of my mom.
Yeah. And I've had people ask me if I was related to him because my maiden name is Dyer, you know, and I go on as Laurie Dyer Phillips on my Facebook. I'm not related to this man, not remotely. Please let me state that. I'm not.
Yeah.
So.
But, you know, this man can, you know, when he's on something, he's mentioned, his TV show comes on, he even said last night, $18,000. You know, in his pocket. Because they reappear his show, he gets so much each time they show his Bigfoot hunting or whatever it is in Texas or whatever they do. Every time they replay it, he gets so much off of each time they play it. And he was bragging about how many cars he was going to take home and all this stuff, you know, told what he had. I mean, they were expensive vehicles. But, I mean, he's a car dealer. He'll do anything to sell you a car. And he'll do anything to make money off of Bigfoot. I mean, that's just what he is. But y'all need to check that out whenever y'all can. I'm gonna say for this, you know, Daniel stretched it last night, and he really, you know, as far as a researcher, Daniel is great.
Yes, he is.
That show last night, if I don't know, maybe he shouldn't have had, you know, but one at a time on there, but either one, because they both made a ha-ha, you know, of the ECBRO and the New River Valley Bigfoot Organization. You know, I'm part of that, and I
know.
He even offered me to, he said, you going, people say, you going to be on the show tonight? You going to be on the show tonight? We're going to have a, special guest. And I asked him who they were. He told me that I couldn't even respond. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to sit back and watch this and see what happens, and hope nothing, bad happens. But even Kelly, Kelly Shaw and a couple other researchers. I mean, even they even got knocked down by Rick and I think Rick.
Oh no. And see, and I want to say right now that this show is uplift those hardworking researchers out there, and they're credible, hardworking people. They do not get $18,000 to go out and find what they find. They do it on their own dime and their own time. And it's somebody like this, it's a wonder to me that somebody hasn't clocked him. I feel like this.
If he'd have been the next guy from me, I probably would have went over and threatened at least. I already
feel my blood pressure going up just at the mention of his name. He just infuriates me because he takes away any chance we have of the public believing in what we're doing. He's making a mockery of the entire subject of this archaic human being that we are studying. And it's just,
But, you can have a study on something that does not exist in the public eye.
Yeah, why not?
Why
not go after the Mothman or something that there hasn't been there's not a whole lot of people studying the Mothman or the Lizard Man or something like that, but not because he can't make any money off of those subjects. He can off of Bigfoot because Bigfoot is on the verge of being discovered.
Exactly.
And that's why he's in on that train. He's on that train because of that. Oh, scum.
Yeah. So I'm sorry to raise your blood pressure.
Anybody that would drag around a fake body and charge people to see it is
$100 to see it. Yeah.
Oh my God.
$100 a pop.
And there's fools out there that paid that. Fools.
Yeah.
Fools. And I hope I don't offend anybody out there by saying that, but shame on you for supporting that individual. Shame on you.
But I don't make a dime off of my research.
None of us do.
And,
none of us do. And some of us have even sacrificed our relationships, our lives, our jobs. It's so a passionate a subject for so many of us because we know they're real. We are seeking to learn about these beings, and we're putting our whole existence on the line to find the truth. And you're one of them. You're one of them. And so is ECBRO, and so is New River Valley, and so is Kelly Shaw, and all the other wonderful researchers that we've had on this show. They're authentic, real, hardworking human beings that are seeking the truth. And I commend you, all of you.
Yeah, well, we thank you. And we thank you for giving us the time to, talk about our research and, get stuff off our chest. That's bothered me since last night, but I'm not holding Daniel. I'm not holding nothing against Daniel for having him on the show. Mm-hmm. But I've kindly put my foot down on the New River Valley that is the last thing you will ever see of Rector or Rick on the New River Valley page. Anything else posted about Rick or Rector, any kind of podcast, it's going to plumb off of it because, they just, turned that whole show into a sideshow, I think. Some people may not see it that way. Some of the researchers might not see it that way. But as far as me, when I go out in the woods, I'm not doing it for entertainment. What I find, what you see, and I like to share what I find.
Absolutely.
For my experiences. This is not to get a TV show. This is not to, I'm doing this for, I done it for my own discovery. And I had my own discovery last year of actually seeing one and knowing they're here.
Well, do you mind, in case there was nobody that heard it the last show, do you mind recounting that experience for everyone?
Sure. I don't mind one bit. Back last August, it was a fairly hot day. Early that morning it was foggy, misty, overcast, drizzle. And during that time of the year, around the New River, you got the cloud banks on the side of the mountain. The further you go up, the harder the rain gets, and then you're on top and above the clouds. But you kind of picture it that way. And I went up there on top of one of the mountains that had two sightings on the BFRO webpage. And I just went up there to see if I can find anything, of tree structures or footprints or find these areas where these two campsites were. And I actually found one of the campsites and was out there and just went around the woods and looked at a couple of things, but I couldn't determine if they were made by Bigfoot or if they were made by humans because they were so close to the campsite, within seeing distance of the campsite. So therefore, just about an hour and a half, 2 hours, just looking around. I had plenty of time, and I was actually working, and I get over to the picnic table. Okay, I didn't even document what I found. I was like, too close to this camp, and I got in the vehicle and started coming down the mountain. On my way up, I had seen an area that I thought there was a waterfall. Somebody told me there was a beautiful waterfall up that way. So on the way down, I was like, well, it's kind of clearing up. I'd like to stop over here and get me a picture of the waterfall for my Nature Walks photos page. And that's actually a Facebook page, at Nature Walks. And post beautiful waterfall pictures, pictures of deer. I've got probably 5 or 6 people that post real nice pictures, of their walk through nature. And I figured I'd pull off there and walk it through there and just see if I can get a good picture of this waterfall for that page. And it's a day area only. It was a parking place. The actual trail going into the area was handicap accessible, where you can get a wheelchair right there. And a nice little bridge and everything right at the beginning. And had a real thick and laurel on the right. The creek comes up on your left. It's pretty wide creek, probably 50 yards, 45, 50 yards wide. Running real smooth, real fast in some places, and I could hear the waterfall. What I thought was a big waterfall up ahead of me. And I had my camera out, and I take a picture, and I'm probably about 200 yards in, and I'm getting real close to this waterfall, kind of looking forward to seeing it, which I didn't make it to the waterfall, but I can hear it like it's right on top of me. And as I'm walking through, I hear a crack off to my right. I look, I'm still walking. Not at a fast pace, at an easy pace, take my time, enjoying nature. So I'm thinking, okay, it must have been a deer jumped up or something, deer. I didn't have Sasquatch on my mind. I had this waterfall, getting this picture. And 2 or 3 minutes, 2-3 minutes later, I'm continuing walking, and I'm taking my step from my left to right. My foot hits the ground, and I'm froze in my track. And I'm looking looking off to my left to see the waterfall. And the next thing I know, I just froze in my step, and I went, oh my God. And I eased my head to the right and look, and there's a break in the laurel right to my right. And there's this huge, hairy figure standing over to the right, and all I can see is from my mid-torso up. And it's standing there looking at me. And this thing is as wide as the front end of my Jeep at the shoulders. And it changed the way I look at Sasquatch now. To me, it looked human. It had, fresh brown hair, white skin on the face, nose flat on his face. The nose was probably, 2.5 inches wide. This thing was 22, 24 feet from me to the right. And as I'm looking at it, I'm getting chills, I'm sorry. But as I'm looking at it, it's looking at me up and down. His mouth is open. His eyes are huge. And this thing, I'm thinking this thing could kill me in two steps. It could be over in 2 steps. So all I know to do is start backing up. Slowly back up without, making all the movement. And as soon as it gets out of my sight, I turn and hit the camera. I'm videoing my way out. And after looking back on this thing and seeing what it was doing, it was a surprise to see me as I was surprised to see it. And if it would have wanted to kill me, it would have. There would be a whole lot more people in that area. Because this thing, it was huge. And
when you saw it, did you think it was a human being or some kind of animal?
I knew it was what I had been looking for. I mean, no mistaking in that. It was no human, because I'd never seen anybody that big. Not even a superstar football player, anywhere close to that size.
Well, I have to ask you, I know you probably read reports and stuff of encounters and sightings in the area. Was it comparable to what you've been reading about, or did it seem like it was bigger than what you expected?
I think it was bigger than what I expected, because most of my reports only show them to be about 3/4 of that wide.
Oh.
And 6.5, 7.5 foot tall. That's, most of my reports that come in, that had come in over the last few years has been, 6.5, 7 foot tall. And, what I was seeing of it, I mean, this thing had to have been at least 8 foot, maybe more than 9 foot.
Yeah.
And as I've looked back on my research too, from that area, I had been finding, footprints of 14 1/4, 13 3/4, and there's a new one up there from another guy that I researched with. It's 15. So I don't know if it was a younger one growing up over the last 2 years, or if it was the same one, same one growing up, or if it was a different ones coming through that area at the same time. But that's that's just part of the research. You can go and talk to these people, and they can tell you how big they are, and but you got so many different distances that they're telling you they're seeing them from, or and they could be mistaken in the width of them or whatever. I just think it was. I know it was a male because the chest, it was kind of bare on the chest, lighter, thinner hair, but the top of the head. Like I was saying, I do not see comb. This thing,
and that's more common than you realize. That they're round heads, and then those that have the sagittal crest.
Yeah.
How far were you from it?
22 feet, 24 feet, somewhere in that area.
Oh, that's getting a really good look at it. Did you smell anything when you were looking at it, or was it one of those times that you? Yeah, and that's pretty common too, to smell absolutely nothing.
Something was brought up to me last week too, that how your senses sometimes one will take over another. I was actually seeing that. I was actually seeing this thing, and my senses were on height on my eyes, so it might have been taken away from that sense of smell.
Right.
A guy was telling me that sometimes whenever he had his encounter, he smelt it strong, but he didn't see it. And then I'm thinking, well, that's a good possibility. If you smell it, if you're not visually seeing something or hearing something, those senses are kind of put in the back, and the other sense kicks in even more. It's kind of like, there's one guy that I used to take to the doctor. He was blind, could hear everything from, here to the other side of the store. He had height, sense of hearing, and if anybody was cooking 2 doors down, he can smell it and know exactly what it was they were cooking. It's just, when your senses are shut off, that you're not actually visualizing or hearing something, I think the senses of your smell picks up. My height was on my vision that day. It was very unexpected. I was not expecting nothing like that. All in the back of my mind of Sasquatch.
And you were afraid to go back out in the woods for a long time after that, weren't you?
It took well over a month for my good friend Dennis Taylor to actually say, "Come on, buddy, come on." And he had to go in the woods, and I was walking kind of slow behind of him, on high alert. Everything was, Bigfoot. Everything turned into be Bigfoot, even a little squirrel chirping in that tree. I'd be looking at it, looking up, looking all around. And
you've never been back there either, have you?
No, I sure haven't.
Okay, so if you have never been back there, where do you go now? And what are you? What methods are you using in the place that you go now?
Well, I have went. I've I've changed jobs since then. I'm working during the night. I'm up during the day, and I was going to all these places with with the job that I had. It take me different places like that, and I named all the areas. The place that I was just talking about, I named it Cherokee Falls. Just a special name. But, you know, each area that I go to, like Sasquatch Mountain, Sasquatch Creek, that's where I've been going to now. And Sasquatch Creek runs right along the bottom of Sasquatch Mountain. And I've started zoning it out, and I just about got that complete until springtime. Springtime I'll go back up in the mountain a little further and try to get that zone. But this area of Sasquatch Creek and Mountain, it's got reports coming out of it all year round. And for the last, you know, since I've been doing this research, from my very first report, that area there has got 14 reports come out of it now. And, I mean, it's a fairly good-sized area, probably a 32-mile stretch of mountain. Mm-hmm. And it's got the New River comes up in the bottom side of it. It's got the Blue Ridge Parkway out to the east of it. It's got the on down the road there toward another county. It's actually got the Appalachian Trail that joins both between the mountains. So it's a hotbed for I believe where they travel from, maybe from West Virginia down the Appalachian Trail across that area I'm telling you about to New River and then North Carolina. I mean, that could be a possible trail, and that's what I'm looking for now: the trailway that they would commonly use, or an area that they're using for a day area or a hunting ground or a breeding ground or whatever. I was
going to ask you about that. What are you doing different now than you were before? Because you've had time to evolve on these things. What are you doing different now?
What I'm doing different now is applying music to my research. Keisha, I don't know if y'all checked out my Facebook lately, but I've been playing music since I was 12 years old. Started off with guitar, I played the bass, picked up a lot on the banjo here lately, mandolin. I love playing the mandolin, stuff like that. And, you know, a lot of people sit around campfires and play music and just act normal. Mm-hmm. And that's one of my new tactics to do, is to solo camp, or with a couple of people, hopefully. After seeing mm-hmm. Go off to where you don't camp. This is what I'm thinking, is, you know, go up one of these big old long trails that I know they use, go off to the side of it, have a little fire, have a little tent set up. Well, I can't say little, I've got a cabin tent that I've got to take with me. But if I set my tent up and sit out there by the fire and play music for a couple of nights, camp out, have fun, without cameras or, you know, anything like that, I'm going to put, you know, audio recorders and go with them, just a camper or just somebody hiking through the woods. But this time it's going to be different if I have my encounter in the daytime anyway. If I get that close again, which I hope in the back of my mind, I hope I never see another one. But I've got a plan. I've got something I'm going to be carrying in my pocket at all times when I'm squatching, when I'm looking for Sasquatch or looking for evidence. And I'm going to have it, and hopefully I can keep it in the back of my mind that I pull this thing out and offer it, lay it down, and walk away from it, to interact with them. Maybe it'll come check out what I put on the ground, or hang in a tree, you know, or something. But as far as my research has gone, the foot tracks, I still look for these tree structures and dens and stuff like that you find sometimes. I still look for that stuff. But most of the time now, I'm just out enjoying what's out there, you know, what's in front of me. And I believe that's what brings them in. You don't have, Sasquatch in your mind all the time. Because if you go
that's one of the things I've said to a few people. One of the things I've said to the few people is that the 90% of the, maybe even more, of the sightings you ever read about are by accident.
Yeah.
People who are actually hunting Bigfoot and rarely actually see them, as you know, in the bigger picture.
Oh yeah, and it's amazing how many hours. It's amazing how many hours we actually put in to look at. And then one day it happens that you are not looking, and it happens. And it turns your world upside down because, okay, what do I do now? You're in shock because, you weren't even looking for something like that.
Do you think it's important to go back to the same area multiple times in hopes that they'll get more accustomed to you or something like that? Or do you think it's better to research different areas and kind of keep it random? Which one do you think would work the best?
Well, I'm myself from experience. I believe you can go into an area enough and leave too many things out, like the audio recorders and cameras. And I believe they get tired of it, and they'll move on. Yeah. I've had that experience myself. I've actually went as far as doing what somebody told me to do when I first started researching, and I wished I had never done it because it took 3 years for them to come back into the area. And I had to leave the area for like 8 months, 8 months myself, and then come back and just check every now and then just to see, if something big was moving through. And sure enough, they did move back in after, that long. And
I had the same thing happen to me. I had an area, and it ended up going out over the radio, and I started going back into this area and finding bait bags hanging in trees and evidence of people being in there, and before long, it was all gone, and it took 5 years for it to come back to life. 5. Wow. If they just moved out of the area completely, 5 years. That's a long time for somebody, especially when you find a really great place.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a good fishing hole. When you fish it out, you hate that it's fished out because, where are you going to go fishing out now? Where are the fish at? You kind of lose track of them. But yeah.
Well, we have about 16 minutes left, so what do you want to talk about?
Well, I like to talk about maybe if y'all got any questions, and then I'll take about 4 or 5 minutes and explain my next project I've got on the burner.
That would be great. Why don't you do that? We'll pull some questions from that.
Okay. Well, I had been talking to several in the group in the New River, and last night, before this show really upset me about Rick and all that, but I had been
bring that up again, why don't you?
Sorry. Y'all need a beeper to beat that name out. But after before the show and everything. Before the show and everything, I had got on Messenger with I got a Facebook friends that are on a chat with me, and the researchers are 6 of us, actually 6 of us in the chat for New River, and I threw out a couple of ideas, and I think one of our biggest projects this year is to mainly concentrate on following the paths of the encounters that people are having around here, from Roanoke all the way to Bristol and Wise County. That's how far the research goes as far as New River. There's probably there's 9 counties to concentrate on, but there's probably 15 in between around the outside of it that no reports has come from, but they're there. But it's getting in the areas where they're at certain times of the year and been there a month ahead of time to try to see how they move into that area. See when the food moves in before they get there. If they're following the food and you see a new herd of deer come in, or the fish when they start stocking the ponds around the areas that we've had reports from, and get on track with their food and be ahead of them before they get there, and maybe have that interaction with them and give these other guys that is in the group that chance to have that same experience and document the movement of the food that they eat at that time of year. But, like I was saying the last time, I had a map, and the thing got destroyed in my boy's room. He was young. He took it and tore it up and had to throw it away, and you really couldn't kids or tails out on that at all. But I have recently, last year started it again and putting the dots back into place. And I have red dots for certain months, blue dots, yellow dots, and there's some areas that have activity all the time. But there's these certain areas that only have it at certain times, much like August, over where I had my encounter. That's why I was there, was because they, the two reports came within that, 2 months of that, within them 2 months. And I thought, well, I've got to go up there and check this out. They may be something moving in now. So, but I think if we jump ahead of them, get ahead of them, and keep ahead of them, and let them come into us instead of us going after them, it may change the way we find the evidence. We might actually catch one bending that tree around, making a marker, snapping a tree over. That's what we
now, how are you collecting the research, though? How are you collecting the research? Do you have people who live in various places along this trail, and they handle certain areas along the trail, and you start seeing patterns out of it? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. That's what it is. I've got I don't know if you watch Finding Bigfoot, but one of the guys on there that was a witness that had an encounter on a 4-wheeler, Daryl Costella, he lives the farthest north in the research area. Right. He had his encounter on a 4-wheeler. And this guy I believe he's really good at what he does. He found footprints, he found hair. From what I've seen, he's got a heart to go out and do the research. And, as far as here locally around me, I've got Dennis Taylor. He's just a little further. He's just one county up from me. Cliff Stanley's just right down from me in the next county. We've got a new guy, and he's out near Bristol, down that way. And he goes all the way out to Wise County, and that's the far end of Virginia. He goes out to a different place that was on the Finding Bigfoot expedition. And but this trail, the Appalachian Trail, runs all the way down from that area, all the way down through to through Tennessee.
Now, does that connect up there near Daniel and Fred?
That's the bottom. That's the bottom area. The northern part of the Roanoke area, the Shenandoah, begins right there where Darrell is. So it's like stops right there, and then you got the Roanoke Valley, and then you got the New River. You got Shenandoah Valley, Roanoke Valley, and the New River Valley. It all connects. And we got a line of people right up this line of mountains here, and they do travel that mountain frequently.
So they do their own separate. So they do their own separate research in different places. You guys compare notes. You start see seasonal patterns.
Right, exactly. It's just like Fred said. He said during the summer months we're down here in this big salad bowl. I've heard him say that.
I've heard him say it too.
and the winter months, they're over near the Blue Ridge Parkway. And when they go near the Blue Ridge Parkway, that's just a travel route right in Roanoke, or northern part of Roanoke. And I believe that research because I've seen it here in the New River Valley, where you'll hear of sightings on the west side of the county I live in, and then just 2 or 3 months later, they're on the east side. But in between that, years before, they were in the middle of, down further south. And it's like, it's like they go around a big circle. There's a couple of families of them actually that travel and stay in the area, that don't leave because of the footprints that have been found, from me and another researcher that lives up north of here. We see the same size footprints, but at different times of the season. And it's not every year I find a footprint, but when I do, it's the same size. And then there's a couple that have grown over the years from 5 1/4 to almost 11 3/4. But it's got the same toe pattern. It's got the same ridge. It's got like this one juvenile, I believe he's got a deformed pinky toe. And he's got a ridge down below it where maybe he stepped on a sharp piece of glass or a rock, or I don't know how that happened, but he's got one certain ridge, and that foot grew from 5 1/2, 6 3/4, all the way up to 11. And it just growed, but it's still got that same ridge at the bottom of his pinky toe. And it's kind of like sticking out a little further than his big toe. I don't know if he got it from climbing a tree or if he stepped on a glass bottle or what when he was young, or she. But as far as, going into and finding these footprints and how they change throughout the years, I know there are some that stay in the area and there's some that just passing through, like the 19 3/4 I found and at the Rock Chuckers Mountain. He's a big boy. At 19, that's a big foot, and that's what most time we're looking for. But
are you going to let us know if you have another sighting?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I sure will.
You're on my Facebook, and you're my friend, and I want you to tell me if you have another sighting.
Yes, ma'am. I sure will. Hopefully no time soon. I don't know how my mom would comprehend this one. And no more, I won't be prepared as usual. I don't think you can ever prepare yourself for that.
Well, we have about 5 minutes left. So, is there anything you want to share before we say goodnight for you, anyway?
Well, I thank y'all for having me on, and I'd like to give out a shout out to all the researchers, the true researchers tonight, and tell you, keep your head above water. Don't let people destroy your research. Don't let them bring you down. Be sure you keep it real. Don't be hoaxers. Don't let us down as researchers. I mean, we're all a big, pretty good, tight community, but sometimes we don't agree on a lot of things.
Right.
But as long as you keep your research real and go out and have a good time, but don't be entertaining like Rick Dyer.
Had to say that word. Had to get the last word in there.
Or there's a blood pressure again. But anyway, and I'd like to apologize for not being on the show last night, but I could not see myself being a part of that. And I apologize to Daniel. And hopefully, this don't affect the podcast for next week, the ECGO podcast. I'm sure they'll have one here in the next couple of days or next week. And y'all tune in. I might be on. I don't know. I was on the one before that. And we'll be lucky to have the ratings that we had the week that I was on there.
I know, that was kind of a risky business there to associate yourself with such a person. And I'm glad that you kind of took a step back because it's risky. It's risky. And Daniel is a good enough researcher and everything that he probably will be okay. But I wouldn't know why someone would take a risk like that. But
it was in the plan. It was in the plans before to actually have it on, and he kind of backed out of it. But it's like this. You can put yourself in different positions, and I've done it before. Been associated with different ones in the research field, and once you learn what somebody's doing that doesn't give you a good name when you're tied associated with them, you kind of have to back off from it and let them do their thing. You just go on and continue your research and let it be. I myself, I have disconnected all my ties with that part, and I'm looking forward to the ECBRO's new documentary coming up. I'm going to be a part of that. I may not be able to attend any of the events, but I think I've worked out with the guy that's putting the video together as far as documenting real research, and I'll be able to share some of my research with that documentary. So I'm looking forward to that, and working with Daniel and all my group.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Please let us know when it comes out so we can see it.
I'll do it. And it's supposed to be through the summer, so I don't know how long it's going to be, but I'm going to start piecing some together that I've already found from the past year, and I'm going to try to edit it out to the guy that's putting the documentary together. So I'm just looking forward to being a part of that. I mean, it's educational.
Absolutely.
It's educational and not for show. It's real evidence, real research. And if you're going to find the truth in anything, you will find it in the New River Valley and be in the ECBRO. We don't put nothing together that is not real.
Well, thank you. On that note, we're going to go ahead and tell you good night, Tracy, because it's time for you to go to work, buddy.
Yes, ma'am. I see people running in there now. I'm awake. I appreciate y'all having
so
me
much.
Yes,
thanks for coming, buddy.
Yes.
Thanks.
And stay
Y'all
in contact with us, okay? Don't be a stranger. All right?
I sure won't. All right. Y'all have a good one. Thank y'all.
You too.
Good night.
Good night.
We're going to intermission now, and when we come back, we're going to have author Alan Wright. So roll that intermission, Graz, if you would, please.
All right. We'll be back in a little over 7 minutes.
And welcome back to Nite Callers Bigfoot Radio. And that was our intermission. That was Boston, and the first one was Shy Coltrane. That was like back from the 70s. I don't know if any of y'all remember that one, but I heard it last night, and I said, man, I got to share that oldie but goodie. Anyway, we're back, and we've got a great guest coming up, a little bit different than what we normally do, but the original Nite Callers was we covered a lot of different subjects. So tonight we're going to be covering a little bit about the paranormal, and I think it shall be very interesting. This book that he has written is about his true experiences. So, Graz, if you'll go ahead and introduce our next guest, then we will bring him on.
Okay, in our second hour, we will be bringing you author Alan Wright, who has written a true book about his experiences with the paranormal called Through the Veil and Back. Alan was born in Phoenix, Arizona, and lived there most of his life. A retired HVAC engineer from a school district in Arizona, he now lives in Utah. His grandmother and mother were clairvoyant and would have dreams about things that affected them or their families. Alan has inherited these abilities. People ask Alan when he became interested in the paranormal, and he claims he really didn't have a choice, as he was born into it. As a child, he thought that everyone had the same type of dreams. He was told about ghosts and spirits at an early age and thought everybody else did. Of course, as Alan got older, he learned that all people didn't believe in the paranormal. His wife encouraged him to finally write the book. All the situations in this book are true. Alan took part in every event. To buy Through the Veil and Back. You can find it on Amazon. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Graz, and welcome to Nite Callers Bigfoot Radio, Alan.
Hi, how are you, Lori?
I'm doing fine. How are you tonight?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. Kind of nervous. I've never been on a radio show before.
Well, we are very laid back, and we promise that we're not going to stick you under the microscope and make you reveal your deepest, darkest secrets. Well, we might.
We're just sitting around the living room chit-chatting.
Okay, that's something.
Okay. Alan, can you kind of tell us how it all began for you? Apparently, from what Graz just read, you were born this way. At what age did you realize that you were different than other people?
Oh, probably around 7 or 8 years old is when I started realizing that other people, the other kids, did not have dreams like I did or my grandparents had, and I don't know, I was just different, and I didn't tell anybody my experiences or whatever for fear that I was going to be laughed at or pointed at or whatever, made fun of. So I kind of kept it to myself all those years. In fact, a lot of my family members don't even know about some of this stuff. And when I was writing it down and my wife was typing it into the computer, she was kind of surprised about some of the things also because I hadn't told her, even though she told me I should write a book. So anyway, it started out kind of... She was the one
that encouraged you to write the book.
What's that?
She is the one that encouraged you to write the book, Through the Veil and Back.
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead.
She encouraged me to write the book, and at first I think she thought it was going to be like a journal just for the family, you know. But I got in touch with Annette, who was the owner of Stellum Books, and I asked her one day if she was willing to take up any new authors, and she said she was. So one thing led to another, and I was in print.
Okay. Well, I know you don't want to really give away too much, but can you tell us how it began that you got into this house, and what began to happen?
The one about the flies?
Well, yes, about... Well, yeah. What is the book about, basically? Was it just this one time that you lived in this house, or it was about your entire life, or how does it... What does it cover?
Each chapter in the book is a different period in my life and a different experience in my life, and different pieces and so on. My wife and I bought a house one time, and it was a nice little house. It was 2-bedroom. It was a little 1-bath. We don't have any kids or anything, so we went ahead and bought it. But after we moved in, a few months after we moved in, we started seeing shadows down the hallway and stuff, like they're going from one room to another. When I fell asleep at night, it was like somebody rushing up to me and screaming in my ear, and I only got glimpses of them. And then I started coming home, and I usually got home before my wife did from work, and I would walk into the house, and there would be hundreds of these flies in the windows and the doorways, and it would take me like a couple hours in the afternoon just to get rid of these flies, killing them and stuff. And they were these big old fat juicy flies, and I didn't realize what was going on at the time. And somebody told me that there was an evil presence in the house, and that's what was causing the flies, and that's the reason why we were having the problems we were having. So we stayed there a while longer, and then we ended up well, actually, the house went back to the bank. It was during that housing crisis, and we lost our pants on that one. But it was a strange experience, one that I'll never forget. I never been in a haunted house, in one.
Right. Were you able to know any history about that house, or what possibly could have been causing that kind of infestation?
That part of town I was born and raised in, and I used to sell things, all occasion cards, and used to go trick-or-treating in that neighborhood and stuff back when I was a kid. I knew there was an elderly woman and a man that lived in that house at one time, and we were told after we moved in that the woman had died in the house, and I'm pretty sure probably the man did too. And the only thing is the house sat empty for quite a long time because the bank had it, and we bought it from the bank. And we heard that there was people that went in there, homeless people, street people, and they went in there and shot their drugs and stuff in there. And we found syringes and pipes and stuff like that in around the house and out in the storage room. And I think maybe that might have had quite a bit to do with it.
So prior to this, I have to ask you this as a child, because as a child, when I was a child, I used to experience seeing ghosts as a child. And as I got older, I didn't have as many sightings of ghosts. It was more like I could feel there was a presence more than I could actually see it. But as a child, were you actually seeing spirits?
Yeah, pretty much so. I remember one time I woke up early in the morning, nobody else in the house was awake. I have 4 other siblings, and then my mother and father, and I was the only one that had waken up that morning. And I saw an apparition that morning, and I just felt, I went back to sleep, made out like I was, just closed my eyes like I didn't see anything. But yeah, I saw things back when I was a kid. I don't even think I was in. What did you
see? Do you mind sharing with us what you saw, and could you see through it, or was it solid? What kind of apparition was it?
You could see through it, but it was an apparition of a man, and that was another house that there was problems in and stuff. I remember my father and mother having problems with the builder of the house and stuff, and there was quite a bit of trouble that went with that house. We finally had to move out because of it. But I saw apparitions. You know, sometimes when a house is built over a cemetery that has been moved or whatever, or over maybe an ancient burial ground for Indians or whatever, you can pick up spirits and stuff from that. And I think it's wise for somebody to maybe find out about the location of your house before you even buy it, and make sure that there was no cemeteries or anything in it. I have also found out a lot of times the houses are older. I don't know why, but like the house we moved into in Phoenix there was over 70 years old. And I think sometimes things happen during that 70-year period that would probably create these apparitions and these things that go on like that. I was told it was more like a demon that was coming up and rushing up to me and yelling in my ear, just yelling to wake me up is what it was. But yeah, it was pretty strange.
Yeah, were you ever scared?
Yeah, quite often, especially when I was younger. As I got older, though, with you, the things dropped off, you know. But with me, it got the opposite. I became stronger in my feelings and the things that went on, especially with my dreams. I don't know if you read about the part with my grandfather or not,
No, I haven't read anything on the book, so anything you want to share about it, because you would like people to go out and buy it. So I don't want you to give it all away, but I would very much like to hear about your grandfather.
Well, yes, the book's entitled Through the Veil and Back. My grandfather died back in 1982, and he was like a father figure to me, more than my own father was, really. And we spent quite a bit of time together. Anyway, he passed in 1982, and a few months after his passing, I don't know what you would call it. And back in 1982, this near-death experiences and out-of-body experiences was just, I had never heard of them. And it was a short time after my experience that I started hearing about these things. But anyway, I had went to bed one night, and I was in this, well, you want to call it a dream, vision, or whatever. But all of a sudden, I found myself in the corner of this hospital, up towards the ceiling, and I was looking down towards what was happening below me, and I realized that what I was seeing was my body, and it was on a gurney, and there was a doctor and a nurse standing over me, and they were talking, but I couldn't understand what they were saying. And there was just a couple seconds after that, I felt myself going through the ceiling of this hospital, and I finally left the hospital and was going up through the roof of the hospital out into the open, up into the sky. And I could see the lights of the city and everything, and I kept going higher and higher. And then I started getting so high, I started seeing the earth. And what I saw was, what I was thinking was the earth was so pretty, so the blue oceans and the clouds and everything, and I thought how beautiful that was. And all of a sudden this voice, I couldn't understand why something so beautiful like that was so ugly once you got down there, the murders and the rapes and the wars and everything that went on there, you know, and death, including death. And all of a sudden this voice came to me, and it said the earth was fulfilling the purpose for which it was created. And then as I kept getting farther away, the earth was getting smaller and smaller. I started thinking about my family and what they would do if I was out there, you know, supporting whatever. And that voice came to me again, and it said that the things that I went through, the hardships and the stumbling blocks and everything I went through, was what brought me to the point where I was at then. And what it meant was it made me stronger, made my spirit stronger. And it said that what I went through, they also had to go through. And they had to experience that stuff on their own so that they too could become strong. So by this time, the earth was almost gone, and I kept going further and further and further. And then all of a sudden, I started passing the stars, and the stars became like blurs. And then you heard about people going into this tunnel. And I went into like this tunnel, but I don't think it was a tunnel. I didn't feel like there was a structure around me. But I did see a light at the end of this darkness, and the light was, the closer I got to this light, the more brilliant it became. It became so bright you couldn't hardly look at it. And the last thing I remember was I went into this light, and this light was a being, some kind of being. And that light was love. And that it's not an emotion like what we have. We call love, what we call love is completely different from what that love was. That love was more like an element. It went completely through my body. Every part of my body felt that. And the next thing I remember, I blacked out or whatever. But the next thing I remember was I woke up in like a meadow, and I was in fairly tall grass, and I didn't know where I was, of course. And as I stood up, I realized there was a circle of people around me. And I realized that these people were my friends and relatives that had passed on before me. But what I saw was my grandfather. And he started speaking to me, and he started expressing his love to me. But he wasn't speaking to me. He was speaking to my mind, you know.
Right.
And I had a feeling I could talk, but I also had a feeling I didn't have to, you know. And so anyway, the colors and everything was so magnificent. And the last thing I remember was after talking to him, we were strolling along this trail, and it was near a tree line. And I don't know what he was telling me, but I know he was telling me something. And anyway, after that, I woke up. But this experience has stayed with me for the rest of my life. And I don't know what he was telling me, but I think he was telling me I had to straighten up my life more. If I wanted to go to that where he was at.
Wow, I would not know what to think about a dream like that, but to me, I have to think that you were an astral projection. And
something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But it was almost like it was like a near-death experience, like what you hear about near-death experiences, almost identical. Except,
I
have to ask you real quick. I just want to ask you real quick what the voice told you about the Earth, because I would like to write that down. That was very profound. The Earth?
The Earth is fulfilling the purpose for which it was created. And that's always stuck with me, too. No matter what happens on this Earth, it was supposed to be. That's what I got. The Earth is fulfilling the purpose for which it was created. And I got it that the Earth was basically made for us. And we're placed here on this Earth to go through the things that we go through so our spirits will become stronger and we can, I don't know.
We become more wise. Our spirits,
more
souls
wise.
become more wise, yeah.
Well, I've come to the conclusion, if I may say, I've come to the conclusion that the planet Earth is basically, there are plenty of peaceful planets out there in the universe to be on, if that's what you really want.
Yes.
But the Earth itself is not necessarily meant to be a peaceful planet. It's to learn peace and to go through all these things, to go through war, go through all these pains and all these kind of things. The Earth takes care of itself. Every once in a while, it wipes humans out, and we have to start all over again. But the humans as a species never get to the point where they're actually physically and emotionally advanced enough to actually be a peaceful planet. There will always be a Hitler in the midst to bring it back into some kind of cycle of pain and birth and pain and birth, going back and forth. It's a school.
Wow, that was deep, Grass.
Hey, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that I don't talk about.
Yeah, I guess so. Wow, that was awesome.
There's something else that I was impressed impressed with when I was there. There was no religion I could see. There was no, one religion or anything like that. In fact, the being I saw, I guess you could call him God or whoever you want to call him, but, I never got the sensation of, well, you're the wrong religion, so we're going to kick you out of here, So I don't know if that, whatever. I thought I'd just throw that in there.
No 72 virgins.
Yeah.
What's that?
No 72 virgins.
No 72 virgins. No, I'm afraid not.
Well, Alan, did this experience make you to where you did not fear death?
Well, yeah, and it's given me a whole different outlook on death. I feel life is eternal, and if it's eternal, we came from someplace, and after this life, we're going to someplace, and this life is just to prepare us for the life to come. That's what it's for, and that's the reason why we have this earth, and that's the reason why we're going through the things we're going. So it's kind of gave me a different outlook on life. I don't view death as a final destination, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Wow.
Are you still there?
Yes, I just amazed by your story. Absolutely. I never was expecting this. I was expecting a haunted house, demons breathing, stinky flies in the windows. I was not expecting this, and I so thank you for sharing that beautiful experience, that dream. Whatever it was, I believe it was a true experience, because no dream is that. Are all your dreams like that? Very detailed and so.
No, in fact, I feel I don't dream at all at times. I can go a year or two without even having a dream, but some of them I remember, but not like this one. This one was totally different. It actually changed my life, and I remember every detail of that dream up till now, you know. And I'm 67. I'll be 67 years old this coming April, so it stayed with me all this time. But I would
happy
like
birthday early.
I've been to the other place too. So.
Oh wow.
You know, they say a lot of ghost hunters will tell you that sometimes these spirits know when you're doing something, or like some of these ghost shows, ghost investigations, these spirits know when somebody's going to be there, and they actually appear before them or whatever. And I think there was a spirit that realized I was going to be writing a section in the book about him, because I had this dream where I went to this place, and this was just recent. This was just before Christmas. But I went to this place, and it was dark, just totally dark. And I didn't go through stars and all this stuff, and I didn't see a being in white and with a bright light. This was totally different. I just went to this place, and this place was very dark. And all I saw was shadows, and these people were in shadows. They stayed in the shadows, and I couldn't get them to come out of the shadows. And I couldn't get them to tell me what they wanted, except for this one guy. And he kept saying that something about murder. And what I could tell from what he was telling me was, I guess in this life he had murdered somebody, and he was afraid. He was afraid that the guy he had murdered had went to the same place he went, and that this guy would be looking for him. And so he wouldn't come out. And I thought, I just cannot describe this place. It was just dark, and everything in it was depressing and sad, and the people in it were the same way. And I don't know how you describe it, but it was a pretty bad place, and that kind of left an effect on me too. And the reason being is
why do you think you were shown that?
Well, like I said, I think this guy, the spirit, who had lived on this earth, wanted to tell me something about him in life, because he was not a very good person in life, and I knew him. And he was pretty bad to his wife. And I had went over there to his wife, to see his wife several times when she had called for blessings and stuff. And he was not a good person. And I think it was him. that he was trying to get his story out, but he couldn't because he was afraid to come out of the shadows, the darkness. And I wasn't going to go in there. I was I was in a dark enough place, and I didn't want to go in there. Not with him.
Well, if you saw light, I mean, you saw the light. You saw the source. If there's a source, in order to be able to contrast the two of them, in this dimension, you have to have a positive and a negative in order to have something to balance out. And the source doesn't have positive and negative. That contains everything. But in this area here, you have to have a positive and a negative. So in order to be able to appreciate the positive, you have to go through the negative also. And this will include depression, guilt, resentment, fear, all those things.
And I felt that. In fact, the feeling that I had going to this place stayed with me for about a week, and you can ask my wife that. The first few days was very rough for me. It was, I was there. It was like I was there, and I experienced all the feelings that they had. So,
you soaked up everything that was around you. You empathized.
I'm an empath, and so is my wife, and we soaked that stuff up, and it was a pretty bad experience.
It's concentrated.
So anyway, huh? Yeah.
And say that was a concentrated experience.
Yes, it was.
It's one thing I've heard about Jesus, and then one of the reasons he went to the cross was to basically soak up everything for us, to soak it up, to empath, to take it away, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So when you go into a situation like that, you're pretty much doing it along the same line. As you're soaking it up to experience it in its depth.
Yes, that's about right.
Right.
I'm getting blessings and stuff where I feel pretty bad for a few days afterwards, and I think it's because I do take up some of those things, that they have. I give blessings. I have given blessings to people that's been mentally sick, and I've also helped heal people, and that's in the book too. But I'm also a healer.
Well, I've been told I was an empath too.
Well,
I took a test, and it's one of those online tests. Are you an empath, and what kind of empath are you, and all that. And I took that and everything, and I'm a healing empath, a healer. And I visualize healing people at a distance. And it's kind of weird how I do it. It's I'm standing on a beach, and I have a sphere in my hand, a clear sphere that's spinning, and I just bring the peaceful elements into the sphere, and then I imagine that the sphere is then placed on the person that I am trying to send these healing energies to. And I do it for my daughter all the time. And so I've actually done it for a few coworkers and things like that, but I can't explain it. But there's definitely it is definitely real. So
it's real. I noticed over the years that I can only heal maybe about 50% of the people. And I also know the minute I put my hands on them, whether they're going to die or whether they're going to live.
Oh, wow.
And it's a bad experience when you go to give somebody a blessing. And the only kind of blessing you can give them is for a calming type feeling, or peaceful feeling. You can't bless them with health or anything because, those people are going to die and there's nothing you can do for them. It's like it's their time. And I really do believe when it's your time, it's your time.
It's your time,
healers, we're not placed on this earth to change anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do think people get sick, and I do think if a healer comes along, we can heal people. In fact, I had the opportunity to heal this girl that was in a car accident, and when I went in to give her blessing, I didn't know where to touch her. She had so many wires and tubes and everything else coming out of her that I didn't know how to bless her, to touch her. But I went to give her a blessing finally, and the only words I could find was, I command you in the name of Jesus Christ to respond to treatment and therapy. That's the only words I could say, and I went home feeling pretty bad because, like being an empath, you take on some of that stuff too.
Yes, you
do. When I got home, my wife told me that the mother of that girl had called and said that the doctors was going to take her off the machines because her brain was dead, you know, and they didn't give her any hope to live. I told my wife, I said, well, call her back and tell them to take them off, you know, because I knew right when I touched her that she was going to be healed. And sure enough, she was healed. The last time I heard about her, she had about 4 kids, and they had married, and they were even in California. So, yeah.
Praise the Lord on that. I was going to ask you, that was my next question, was going to ask you, where do you get your gift from? And obviously it is a God-given gift. It's God-given.
I think it comes from God, straight from God.
Yes.
I'm not a strong
and I'm
Christian.
glad to hear you say that. I know. I'm glad to hear you say that, though, because, you know, too many people will say, oh, that's the devil and this and that. But when you as a person and an individual know where that gift came from and that God is using you in that way, then believe in it, have faith in it like you did. You had faith when you put your hand on that woman, didn't even know where to put your hand, didn't know what to say, but it's like God showed you and told you what to say. And I think that's amazing.
I have one interjection.
Okay.
Yes.
I look at healing along the line of people who are strung out on heroin or cocaine. Heroin is harder to quit than some things. But there are people who go through therapy. But the only way they're going to be able to heal is to actually change their mind.
Yes.
They can get clean. They can be in there for 6 months. They can be in there for 2 years. But if they don't change their minds, they're not going to be able to quit themselves. And this includes people who get sick and people who get physical injuries or whatever that they have to heal themselves from. It's a state of mind also. You have to change your mind to be able to heal.
But how would a person that was on life support and was considered brain dead be able to change their mind? Do you think their mind is still working? They're still there.
Yeah, they're still there. I mean, people have been in a coma for years and come back. They're still there. And a lot of it is choice. It's a deeper spiritual situation when you get into things like that, and I don't know all the answers to it, but you have choices. And
I don't know all the answers either.
Yeah.
When you were with this young woman, Alan, did you sense that she was still with you?
Actually, no, I didn't. I didn't get a feeling that like she was there. I was going to give her a blessing, like I said, and my mind just went totally blank, like somebody pushed the reset button. And I stood there for probably a couple of minutes, not knowing what to say. And then the words came to me. which I told you, in the name of Jesus Christ, I command you to respond to treatment and therapy, and that's what she did exactly. I mean,
and you can imagine her having her own near-death experience. She's standing on the other side talking to somebody, looking at herself and looking at you, blessing her.
Well, that could be. I don't know. I didn't see her after the blessing, but
right.
I know one.
You hear a lot of people you hear a lot of people with the experiences having that same situation.
Yeah.
Where they're on the side watching.
There's a lot of people that didn't know I had that experience for about 30 years either, you know.
Wow.
I didn't tell anybody.
And so I still kind of go along the line of that a lot of things have to do with choice. We're here to learn things, and we're here to make choices. And if we're sick or something along that line, we made choices that led to that illness. We're in an accident or something like that may or may not be a choice. But whether or not we stay here, like with that young woman, is a choice. And her body could have died, but she decided to stay.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Or it could have been when she was on that other side, on that brink, you know, standing at the brink of that tunnel and the bright light, that the light told her to go back. You know, there was a very interesting story about a woman who, and I saw this on Oprah. I don't know, you can't believe everything you see on TV, but there was something about this woman that was extremely sincere to me. She had had a hysterectomy, and sometime during the night, she bled out. And she was hovering above her bed, like Alan was talking about, and then she went home. She was floating. She floated her way to the house. She saw her husband giving her children a bath. She recalls the time. She recalls everything that was talked about while he was bathing the children. And then she went on to a tunnel-like place and then to the light. And when she got there, I guess it was Jesus, told her that the only reason that we're on this planet is to love and to learn. And it was not her time, and she was to go back and take that message with her. And this was back in the 80s when I saw this, and to this day, it stayed with me, to love and to learn. It was a valuable tool for my life. And so, you know, she talked about the vivid colors, the very, very similar to Alan's experience.
Yeah,
and
it was just magnificent.
Yes,
but I think I had to go back to see my grandfather. My grandfather was very religious, and when he died, I just wanted to know where he went, and you know, and I think this was all arranged where I could go and see him and know where he went. And I didn't get anything like Jesus telling me to go back or come on in or any of that stuff. I felt like I didn't have a choice in the matter. I went into the bright light, and next thing I know, I was in the middle. And after seeing my grandfather and talking to him a bit, I was back in bed. So, you know, I didn't have a chance to say whether I wanted to stay or go or what. So, but yeah, I've heard about stories like that, and I'm sure they happen. I know mine was real. Mine was as real as I'm sitting here. I wouldn't say I wouldn't tell you about it if it wasn't. But and so was the other one, that dark one I had just a while back. But yeah, I feel pretty much the same way you guys do, except the choice part. Maybe, you know, when you're on drugs and alcohol, maybe you had a choice in the beginning, you know, to either start that or not, and then you have a choice to stop it. I think the only thing is it's hard to make that choice to stop it at the end. But I think I don't know. I don't want to say anything else because I don't want to get in trouble.
You're fine. You're fine. No, there's no trouble at all. But I have to ask you about your... Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
When you stick that needle in your arm and you give yourself an overdose, I sometimes wonder if that's not a choice also. And so that way, you know, you're right about that stuff. But a lot of times, like a car accident, she didn't have a choice to be in that car accident. And almost every bone in her body was broken. And I know she was in pain. And when I commanded her to respond to treatment and therapy, that was a painful process for her to do that healing, to get back to where she could have kids and be married and carry on with her life. And I don't know how much of a choice she had in that. Now, maybe she was through the veil and looking back down. I know when I was there, I couldn't look back down. I didn't see earth or anything after that. I was in a place, and that place was real. And it wasn't see-through or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, I couldn't look down and see my family or anything like that. So, but I can't say that doesn't happen to some people. That's the only thing. I didn't see that. But, you know, that's neither here nor there.
Well, I have to ask you about your mother, and was it your grandmother that were the same? That had the same gifts?
Yeah, it was my grandmother, and I think she got it from her mother, which would be my great-grandmother. They were farmers, and they lived out in the boondocks, you know, and they had farms and stuff, and they did a lot of things to heal themselves, you know, and stuff, and plus they had dreams. My grandmother told me about a dream that she had. She also told me about a haunted house that she had been in as a little girl. And my mother told me about a dream that she had when her grandmother died. And she actually knew that her grandmother had died before they even came and told her that she had, because of this dream. She had died during the night. And my mother had already known about it when she woke up that morning. So, and I'm basically the same way. They didn't know what to call me because they couldn't really call me a medium because I cannot call upon that stuff to talk to the dead. I don't have the ability to do that, to call somebody out, you know, any spirit or anything. So they gave me a name of passive medium. In other words, it happens to me, but I don't have any power over it when it does. And those, I've had other dreams about things that happened to other people that were not even my family. That's in the also. But yeah, I got that stuff from my mother. I know I did.
Well, you know, I wonder if it's genetic.
It could be.
I always heard it skipped a generation, but in your case, it didn't.
You know, I honestly believe that mankind has not always had doctors. They've always had people that were healers. Indian tribes had their medicine men. I'm sure early settlers had people that they called healers and stuff, not necessarily doctors. And I think the doctors became a profession, actually. But I also think that the healers are continuing on. I don't think it's something that's just stopped when the medical profession started, you know. I out even in the jungles of Africa and in the Amazon and stuff, I'm sure they have people in those tribes that heal, and that's what they do, and that's their calling. And I think it's happened ever since mankind started, and that's the way it's been.
What do you think? What do you think of that New Age movement that started up again around the mid-'90s, where everywhere you turned around there were card readers and clairvoyants and healers, and you saw them on TV, you saw them in great big conferences. What did you think about that? Was that anything even close to real?
I don't know. I stayed away from them. I never even got close to that. I don't know. Having vortexes and stuff like that, you mean, like in Sedona, Arizona, and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
they have their little the local Indians call them hippies dancing with feathers. That's just a little cloak. I actually went to one of the conferences one time, and there was this guy walking around with a robe and a great big crystal taped to his forehead. And I thought that was rather amazing. I almost felt like Jesus walking along and tipping the tables over just to get, what is this stuff you people are doing? But anyway, there's a certain thing going on where there's a lot of alleged healers out there that people have to keep an eye on and keep a lookout for, because there are a lot of snake oil people.
Exactly. I think there is, and I think you have to be careful, especially when it comes to healers and clairvoyants and stuff like that. I never been to one, and like I said, I kind of stay away from those New Age type things. All I know is about me. I'm not a professional. I don't get money for what I do. I just do it because I can, I guess. That's the only way to...
Well, you're led to do it. I think you're led. Or you wouldn't be where you are when you are there.
Exactly. And I think if you can do it as a profession and you're good at it, and and you can do it to make a living, then more power to you. But I don't charge people for doing that stuff, and I don't intend to. In fact, like I said, I've been doing this stuff for many, many years, and I never told anybody about it. Not even my closest, my closest family members know, but some of my family members don't.
And they still don't.
Yeah.
Do they even know you've written a book?
They still don't.
And now you're on the radio. Now you're on the radio talking about it.
And now I'm on the radio. But I'll say something.
Seriously, they're going to listen to our show. Doubt it.
But I'll even talk to my wife and tell her something and know some story. She said, "When did you do that? You never told me that before." Yeah, she was reading my book. She said, "When did this happen? You didn't tell me this."
It's been a marvelous interview. We're down to like about 3.5 minutes. So you want to tell people how to... Yes. You were marvelous for your first time interview, Alan. You were fantastic.
Thank you very much, and thanks for inviting me.
Well, can you tell people how to find your book?
Well, right now I'm on Amazon.com. My book, by the way, is Stellum Books is the publisher, and that is my publicist, and she's the publisher. And go to Amazon.com. You can get either run a search for my name or the title of the book, Through the Veil and Back. And I'm on Barnes & Nobles and for the Nook. And I'm also on Goodreads. Where else am I? You could also get it for Kindle on Amazon and paperback. Anyway, that's also on Ingram too, but that's more for wholesale place. But anyway.
Well, I think it will be a good read. I encourage everybody to buy this book. I'm going to. I've been very, very excited about this interview, and it panned out to be a great interview.
Did I tell you one thing?
Go ahead.
This coming Sunday, starting at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Selling Books is having a party for their new release of Amazing Paranormal what?
Okay.
Encounters, Volume 2. And anyway, it's going to be like a party. Several authors have gotten together and wrote a chapter for this book, and I happen to be one of the authors. And
awesome.
There's several authors, and it's going to be a good time. It's a Facebook event, and they're going to be answering questions and stuff on Facebook. So.
Wow. Okay.
It's going to last for several hours.
So where do you go on Facebook?
Just go to Facebook. Where do you go on Facebook? Just go to Amazing Paranormal Encounters Volume 2, and I'm sure you can bring it up on that.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Alan, for coming on the show, and good luck with your book. I hope it's a bestseller, and we appreciate you giving us your time.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's been fun.
Yes, it has. It's been great. Everyone, I am working on getting the Ohio Night Stalkers on next week. They're a fantastic group, and I'm hoping to get them on. We're trying to get some of their recordings on. So we'll see everybody next Thursday night, and have a great week and a blessed one. Good night, everybody.
Okay, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye-bye.